Hi, I'm today at Colombiaplast with Clemens Sittmeier and Jan Stoga from Erema. Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you, very well, thank you.
Well, we want to discuss right now, it looks like a booming time for the recycling business. Why is that?
Yeah, first of all, booming in the history in recycling was always an effect when raw material prices pull up. So that's a booster that we face now. We are very happy about, so we are two persons from Erema here. And the second very actual issue is legal situation, especially now in Latin America. Several countries are facing the ERP, the Extended Producer Responsibility law that is being announced, that is being already becoming active. So we are here right now in the right moment to give our customer and to give the national collecting systems and the nationality a good hand in not just in plastic recycling machines, but in closing the network of municipalities, producers, recycling machine producers, and also the raw material producers are very important part of the total chain to close the loop. Circular economy is the keyword.
Okay. Jan, we have seen over the past year that it has been a very good year for Erema. Why is that?
Yeah, it has been a good year, definitely, and it's. I think it's a combination of the Erema technology that is developed together with our customers. So as Clemens also mentioned, in terms of the circular economy, we try to work together with our customers, but we also try to work together with the converters and with the brand owners and with the virgin producers to have the whole picture, what is needed in the market, and also to understand how products must be developed and produced so they can be recycled, mechanically recycled. And this, I think, is the key for future growth. And as you already also mentioned, the legal situation where the producers are getting pushed to recycle more plastic. I think it's also important to understand that the producer is just one part of the chain, or one part in the circle, and this is why we all have to work together. The whole industry must work together to bring more recycling rates into the country. That's the one part, and on the other hand, you see that the plastic waste is in the mind of the people. It's getting more and more attention, and this leads us to a situation where plastic actually has a bad image. And this is something we must change. We shouldn't see plastic just as something to throw away. We must see plastic as a secondary raw material. So nobody would think of throwing glass away or throwing paper away without recycling it. So the recycling rates in glass, in paper, are much higher than in plastic. So how come? This is something we must change. And this is something we can only do all together. The machinery producer, the whole industry, including the converters, the producers, but also the consumers, and of course the legal situation has to be clarified.
What is the technology that you are promoting here in Colombia with Erema?
Yeah, Erema is a well-reputed manufacturer of plastic recycling machines, so we do recycling machines of thermoplastic polymers in a very energy-saving and material-saving method. So this is called Erema series for the polyolefin sector that Jan Stoga is taking care for. So he's the expert in sales for these polyolefin machines. And in the PET section, which is also a very strong part of our business, we have so-called Erema technology. That's food-grade approved technology to produce new resin that definitely has to be recycled and can be reintroduced to produce the same packaging again. So this is now a very strong tendency in our product development, not just to recycle or even downcycle the materials, but upcycle the materials by compounding, by putting extra brain power into how to recycle it, to gain materials that can be reintroduced to produce the same bottle again. for food contact approved materials, or to produce packaging or produce household goods that are free of smell, so that recycled material are no more recycled material in the mind of the people.
Actually, one of the main concerns of, for example, the food supplying companies or the manufacturers of drinking products and so on is that they don't want to use recycled products. At least in Colombia, there's still this trend saying, I don't want to trust, a packaging that has been recycled. What is your position on that?
Well, especially if we go on food applications, where actually on PET, Clemens is the expert, there are regulations like the FDA, EFSA in Europe, or in Erema in Latin America. And yes, these regulations we can reach from Erema. We also have the approvals by Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Nestle, or whatever. And we can reach those specifications with our machines. So this shouldn't be the point. On the other hand, what is important for the polyolefin sector, here we're also working on getting the FDA for HDPE bottles, for example. But still, it's already possible, because the food market is of course an important market and a big market, but by far not the only one. So at the moment there is a big pull by the big brand owners like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Henkel, however they are called. They actively pull to use more recycled material. And I speak of post-consumer recycled material, not just production waste. And this is technologies that we can also offer. And there are best practices already around the world, where Henkel, for example, uses 25% post-consumer HDPE pellets already in their liquid washing bottles. And this is something we shouldn't be scared of. We should use the possibilities that are already on the market, and there are solutions to do this. But we must promote this, and we must bring it also to the people's mind that this is something that absolutely works.
Here in Colombia, our trash recuperation system isn't really that evolved. There are still a lot of plastics mixtures and so on. Can still people use your technology for this kind of highly contaminated plastic products post-consume?
Yes, definitely yes. Of course, we have to be open and communicate technical and also economical limits, because at the end of the day, whatever we do in life, we are driven also by economy and by the cost or by the profit of every operation and every step we do. But maybe not every material can be recycled into a new food grade prime material, but we got plenty of applications like packaging for non-food, like electronic or household appliances, like a vacuum cleaner, coffee maker. All these machines today, all these devices are made of plastics, so polypropylene, whatever, and these materials can be made from rigid plastics that has been trashed, that has been dumped before, and that's a perfect circle. So we close the circle, and yes, this material shall be recycled, even if we consider it in Colombia today as trash that's lost.
Exactly. Perhaps the last question I would like to ask you is, how do you perceive the Colombian market in comparison to other markets around the world?
Well, around the world is hard to say. I can only compare it in Latin America. I see the Colombian market as a very strong market, driven by very strong companies. This is something I absolutely like, because a lot of efforts come from the companies. Where in Europe we have a lot of regulations, you have to do this, you have to do that. In Colombia, the action is taken by the companies, by the recycling companies. And this is something I really appreciate here in Colombia.